quality of finish, resulting in a determination of value. But the assessment criteria for buildings is evolving. Facilities management strategies and delivery models must keep pace. I believe focus is shifting towards a sort of space intelligence as an identifiable and valued service, considering how much space is used, by whom, how much is needed, how flexible it is to adaptation, absolutely key as we move forward. I believe the future credibility and standing of FM is going to be determined in no small part in providing leadership, innovation, strategic thinking, being successful in these areas. Thank you for listening.
We do have time for a couple of questions. Anybody has some questions?
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Thank you for your presentation.
Not at all.
It was very interesting, enlightening, and also from your opening panel this morning too.
Yes.
You've covered lots of ground, and you can have different sort of angles on what you said depending on your heritage. I happen to be an engineer working in multi-site retail,
Yes.
which has its own and challenges. I could ask many questions. The one that keeps coming into my mind is often, because you're talking about trying to lift FM up the hierarchy in the sort of the property management arena. There's a question about how do we earn the right to get up there, and is it not true that ultimately the effectiveness of FM is judged based on the actual services that people see being delivered, whether it would be cleaning, catering, maintenance and cleanliness of the building? Is that not the ultimate thing that judges?
Sure. Okay.
And is there ultimately an issue with that in terms of there's a race for the lowest cost when a lot of those services are bought, so it ends up defeating where you're trying to get to because of the cost.
It just becomes a commodity.
There's a question in there.
So I think, no, that's right. I think the first thing you said was around how do we earn the right to take that more strategic position. I agree. I think that's
how we're being judged though based on the services. Are they working against each other, I suppose?
Well, I think so try and take the two things that you mentioned there. In terms of earning the standing, I think that's something where at the start of the presentation that I gave, I talked around the fact that we need to think about how others perceive us. Where are we in our industry? I don't think it's actually where we want to be, personally. And how do we get there? I think we're probably going to have a reality check quite soon. I think we need to have some form of, for want of a better expression, qualification, some form of gold standard, as I said earlier, around saying, okay, that person has qualified in whatever it is, FM, therefore he or she is competent to do these things here. We don't have that. How can we not have that? Personally, I'm obviously I went through the RICS route, as you know, because there wasn't anything else. So I just think that is an essential part of how we start to gain better standing, but also being successful in the projects that we're running, obviously. To pick up on the second point you mentioned, no, I don't agree. I don't think so. I think we need to move on from that. So you mentioned around the fact that isn't FM judged as to whether a space is clean or well maintained.
It's the others, almost like the end user, that sort of judge it and create the perception.
I think it depends. I think you mentioned you work in retail, so yes, I understand that was probably going to be a much more stronger focus of priority than if you were managing a grade A office space. I get that.
Yes.
I still think that we need to move towards saying that actually the day-to-day is done. We absolutely have to do that, and no one should expect anything less. We have to provide a clean, safe, hospitable environment for our staff to work in, or anybody to come into our buildings. I think it's more about actually what's that workspace for, what's the workforce for if you're managing a team of people within a workspace. How do you get the most out of them? So whether it's clean or not, if those people are actually more productive because of the effort that you're putting in, then surely that's a better outcome to your business. It's not necessarily around a standard for cleaning. We can do that. We should be doing that. We should have been doing that for years. It's making our workforce a more productive, efficient tool. Yes, Paul.
Chris, you mentioned that the move from a knowledge-based society to an intelligence-based society
Yep.
pick up on the last question in terms of where you see the industry starting to position itself.
Yep.
If it's able to provide the level of intelligence and value I'm speaking of, then is this the death knell for the RICS trained general practice surveyor?
No. Well, I think it depends what if he moves with the times, he or she moves with the times. No, but I don't think any part of the industry can really stand still at the moment in terms of what's influencing our world of work. I think the phrase around moving from knowledge to intelligence is that it's not just a collective gathering of information now, it's how you use it. It's how you actually get the best out of the information that you have. And for me, as I mentioned in the presentation, I think FM's in a great place to be able to do that. Do we have the skill sets? Do we have the experience in our industry to do it? Maybe. I would like to actually be able to say, absolutely, definitely, I'm not there yet. I think there are some great examples, but there needs to be more of a standard uniform approach of data, of information management and getting the most out of our data. We've had data in buildings, we've had systems providing data in buildings for years, but how do we actually use it? We're not using it properly. Don't know if that really answers your question, but I don't think it's the death knell of the Chartered Surveyor, no. But he should be doing something else. Get the FM to do it.
Anybody else? Just one comment. I do think that we do have all this information. I do think we do a lot of things very well. I think the comment you made about not communicating that. I think the reason why we keep getting dragged kind of to the lowest end of what we deliver is because it's comfortable almost, and it's easy to hide there. Whereas if you put your head above the parapet and you talk about the deliverables in terms of cost, in terms of energy, in terms of how you've revolutionized workspace because of something within the FM arena, I think you'll be perceived differently. I think you'll get a place at the table. And I think where we really fall down, I know people are doing great work in FM every single day. You know,
I completely agree.
Amazing initiatives. You just don't tell anybody.
No, and we're not used to doing it. We're not used to telling people. We're coming from an industry that thinks it's an invisible service. No, we're not. We really shouldn't be. We absolutely shouldn't be. We should be telling people a lot more about the good stuff we do.
So we say we should be doing that. Is that a sort of, as an industry, precisely across through portals and networks and through brick and mortar, through various organisations, or is that just us better at being business FM managed, if you like? You know, when we engage with our senior leaders, they get the value that we offer, if you like. So
I think. Sure. I think my initial perception was the first, around the fact that the bodies that represent us need to actually do a better job at pulling out those great stories that are in FM. But I think if we're doing, obviously, it's almost circular, isn't it? If we're doing that second stuff, then those bodies will have to report that. I know it sounds overly critical, and I do a lot with BIFM. I don't think they're doing enough. I really don't. I don't think they're doing enough to communicate what FM really adds in terms of its value to a business. And I think it needs to look at that and needs to do more on that.
Yeah, I guess my reflection is that it's probably a personal challenge on all of us that we tell the right story, then our businesses will want us.
Yeah.
But if BIFM says it, or RCS, or whatever, if they say that's not as important as us as individuals taking up that management.
Yes. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, absolutely.
I see some great stories here today. I think it's really important that we as individuals pick up that baton and say, this is what I've done, and get good at articulating it in a way that this is.
Yeah, completely agree. Yeah, absolutely.